The headlines. It's official, we've had the hottest day of the year. A luxury $1,000 bottle of Mount Gay rum is in the works, and hockey's do bad crew do good. Welcome to Nation News for Tuesday, August the 25th, 2015. This has been the hottest day of the year, the Met Office reports. The thermometer reached a high of 32.3 degrees to cap several days of scorching heat. Forecasters say the presence in the Caribbean of Danny, a hurricane which has since speeded out, had led to a sharp drop in wind speeds, creating very humid conditions here. But some cooling showers are reported to be on their way as another storm, Erika, is following in the same path as her predecessor, that is, to the north of Barbados. The center of the fifth named storm of the season is expected to pass near the Leeward Islands on Wednesday night or early Thursday. There have been long-time complaints about the pay and working conditions of security guards, and with the current accent on gun crime, the decibels are sure to rise. It should therefore come as no surprise that the Barbados Workers Union is placing a special focus on security officers during the upcoming annual conference. BWU General Secretary Tony Moore told a news conference that the union has concerns about the wages and working conditions of security guards at a number of companies.
The conference will be asked to reject the assertions made by employers in this particular sector or grouping that workers are adequately compensated for the long hours they work, that they are properly compensated on the basis of equal pay for work of equal value, that there are rostered sufficient hours to make a decent pay. And I think I should pause on that just to explain that there is an argument by some that security officers are paid above the minimum wage of $6 plus per hour. But if a security officer is not being rostered for sufficient hours, that hourly rate translates into a suitable living wage, then workers are no better off. And that's one of the challenges that we have been finding. And then the other one is having adequate periods of rest and relief for rostered guards between tours of duty.
Tony Moore also said that violence among the youth will come up for discussion at the BWU conference.
We are ever conscious that while we abhor violence at all levels and deviance, which seems to be mounting in this country, these, among other things, are just indicators that we have a generation which is at risk and a generation which seemingly is experiencing tremendous hopelessness and despair. The Barbados Workers Union, at the level of the Executive Council, at the level of our staff, and hopefully at the level of the annual delegates conference, we would be seeking to ensure that the BWU can be suitably positioned as an organization and an agency to deliver and to renew hope among those who are apparently hopeless.
The push is on for what you might call a super rum in Barbados. The French owners of Mount Gay are researching and developing a luxury brand that they hope to bring to market in 6 to 7 years. Folks, this is rum that could cost you between $1,000 and $2,000 a bottle, enough to get high-end connoisseurs licking their chops. Mount Gay Distillery's chief, Rafael Grizzoni, has been telling the Barbados Business Authority that the company has engaged local sugarcane breeding consultants and a team of other specialists to work on the plan. He says the super rich are demanding exclusive products, and Mount Gay is hoping to cash in. Homeless campaigner Kimar Safri is keen to secure funding to open a shelter for at least 30 people. The head of the Barbados Vagrants and Homeless Society told Nation News that about $5,000 per month would be required to keep such a center in operation. Mr. Safri said an organization is willing to part-fund programs for women, but he needs assistance in getting men off the streets.
We need the funding for it, and whether or not we want to open things for the homeless and what's not, we still can't make any move unless persons give us contribution, meaning monetary contribution. A lot of persons are giving heavy on the in-kind contribution, but in order for this hostel to work for them, the shelter we call it, to work for them, we do need for some funding from the general public. We do. We also, if we had between $5,000 coming in on a monthly basis, we can actually open a shelter for them, which could cover the basic, amenities for the shelter, because we can afford to close them, we can afford to feed them.
A series of family movie nights held in the Emerald City Car Park in 6 Roads has turned out to be a hit. One of the organizers, Keith Goddard of Intermission Media, told Nation News the turnout is proof that Barbadians are hungry for what he calls wholesome events.
The idea behind this is to be able to provide the society or the community with alternative recreation. During summer holiday, we were seeing a lot of people partying and setting, and very little events taking place for children and specifically more for families. And so the idea came about that, we could look at having movie nights. It brings back that nostalgia for people who were of the older generation. And we've seen some people who are like 70 years old, 60 years old coming to this, as well as we've seen women and children, mothers with babies in arms coming to watch the movies, which means that we are catering to that wide spectrum of people. It's also suggesting when we look at this, we've done it 3 weeks. First week we had about 300 last week. Now I think we've met the 500 mark. If you look around, the car park is extremely full, and that says to us that there is a need in society for events that are wholesome, that do not necessarily have to have alcohol and music in order for people to have a good time.
Up next is Natasha Beckles with commentary on the high demand for places at educational institutions.
There is an ongoing crush for places at all this island's institutes of learning. At the Barbados Community College, about 5,000 prospective students are applying for only 1,300 places. The Hospitality Institute, once a distant cousin, now has over 500 applicants, but at most is able to take 90 students. The skills training program, which was once looked down upon, is also at full capacity with its upgraded programs. And even the classes offered by the Community Development Department, whether at Grisette, Deacons, Weston or Brighton, all are filled to the brim. So we urge Prime Minister Frondell Stewart in his exhort to the DLP party faithful on a way to touch every household. Look no further than a complete overhaul of education so that all Barbadians can get the education and skills they seek.
In sport, the Barbados Hockey Festival has been rather low-key as of late, so you might not have known that Do Bad Crew retained the men's title at Kensington Oval at the weekend. They did so with a 3-2 victory over a Bad Connection. ABC, as the Connection is known, also lost the mixed title to UWI by the same margin. ABC came good in the women's division, however, via a penalty shootout against Maple, while All Stars defeated New York Islanders 2-1 to win the Veterans Crown. And finally, police in Beijing say a woman who wasn't allowed to bring a bottle of expensive cognac on a plane drank the entire bottle at airport security. Police said a woman identified by the surname Zhao had the bottle of Remy Martin XO Excellence worth $200 in her carry-on luggage from a U.S. trip on Friday at Beijing Capital International Airport, when security workers told her the item would not be allowed on the plane. Zhao apparently decided to drink the entire bottle on the spot rather than allow it to go to waste. I don't know if it would have gone to waste anyhow. And police officers said they found her shouting and screaming on the floor at her boarding gate, unable to stand on her own. They said the woman was taken in a wheelchair to her room where she could rest after the captain of her domestic flight decided not to allow her on board. And that's Nation News for Tuesday. For more news, log on to nationnews.com as well as YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Remember to pick up your Midweek Nation on Wednesday or subscribe to our e-paper.